sees all matters, by which he becomes aware of them in a manner that is different from knowledge, but we don't know the difference. Each one of them is uniquely different, but we don't know the difference. Each one of them, he hears and he sees. By each of them he becomes aware. Aware of what? When we talk about connections, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hear? What does he see? The answer is all existing matters. All existing matters. Which is different to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows those things that are impossible. They don't exist. They don't exist. Likewise here, so here we say we hear and sight. Only things that are within the realm of existence. There's something that is something that doesn't exist a thing or not? This is one of the strange discussions they have in Aqida. Something that doesn't exist, can we say it's something? Can a non-existent whatever, can we call that something? But it doesn't exist. So how does it exist with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? But it's not there. Knows that that's not there. What is it though?
He knows it might not because you don't have the capacity to comprehend.
So man.
So what is it might not be?
Yeah.
So it all depends on how you define the thing. All depends on the definition of the thing.
Imam al-Ash'ari rahimahullah says a thing must exist for it to be called a thing. A thing must exist for it to be called a thing.
Isn't that the definition of, for example, Shay is everything besides God?
That's what the Mu'tazila within Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah they say must be mawjood. That's again so I think it's in Shahada again, don't you? Every Aqida class. Amongst Imam al-Ash'ari rahimahullah is recorded as saying this. He says for something to be called a thing it must exist. Something that doesn't exist we can't call it a thing. The Mu'tazila they used ayat in the Quran. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من دهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. That he wasn't a thing that could be. There wasn't a period of time where humanity wasn't a thing that could be mentioned. They say it was ma'adum, didn't exist, and Allah refers to him as a thing. But Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah say no. For something to be called a thing, it must exist. Which is why we say, can you refer to Allah as shape? Can we refer to Allah as something? So yes, because he exists. We say his shape laysa kal ashya. Shape laysa kal ashya. He's something completely different from everything else in existence. But we can say he's a thing. Why? Because he exists. What is that? Allah. Anything that exists can be called shape, can be called something. So here you got some Mu'tazila in the audience here. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hear and see? Everything that exists. Something that doesn't exist, like your twin brother. You got a twin brother? Assume you haven't, yeah? Doesn't exist, right? Doesn't exist. It's in the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he doesn't hear or see. He's in the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because it's in the realm of possibility, but he doesn't hear or see because he doesn't exist. God hears. Now here to bring out a difference between the hearing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and humanity or creation, difference between the seeing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the seeing of creation. What do we see? We don't see all things. We don't see all things. Okay, we can say like there are certain things because of barriers we can't see them. I can't see what's inside you. But there are certain things that are beyond the sight of human beings. Human beings are unable to see, such as smell. You can't see smell. You can't see sound. You can't see a thought of a person. There are certain things that a human being, and even within creation, what an animal can see, different animals can see, varies to what other animals can see, to what a human being can see. A human being can't see at night, but certain animals can see clearly at night. So the nature of seeing is completely different. So we don't restrict the seeing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to that of creation. He sees all matters. He sees smells, he sees sounds, he sees thoughts. Anything that exists, he subhanahu wa ta'ala sees it. It's not restricted by our restrictions. Not restricted by the restrictions of creation. Likewise hearing. He hears this table. He hears this table. It exists. So I can't hear anything. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hearing is different to your hearing. If it exists, he can hear it. We don't understand how. What does that mean? It means he's aware of it. How is he aware of it through the attributes of hearing? We don't know. We don't know. How is he aware of it by the attributes seen? We don't know. All we know is that he's aware there's a table. He's aware through the attributes sight there's a table, through the attributes of sound there's a table, through the attributes of knowledge there's a table. What's the difference between all three of them? We don't know. Each one of them in a different manner that we don't know. So he sees what can be seen and what can be heard. He hears what can be seen and what can be heard. Human beings only see what we can see. We hear what we can hear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see what can be heard and what can be seen. He hears what can be heard and what can be seen. There's no restriction. Anything that exists is within the hearing and sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Clear? Impossible. Is that clear for everybody? Alhamdulillah. I take that as yes. Silence is approved for everybody here.
So did you say that he can see things in the realm of the impossible?
No, answer that. You answer that question based upon what's stated. He can see all existing matters. Impossible doesn't exist. See, that God that is impossible, other than Allah doesn't exist. He knows that God is impossible. He doesn't see it because it doesn't exist. Impossible. This is easy. This is the easy bit now. But we're also going to test it now as well. The impossible are the opposite to the wajib. So now we need to know what's wajib. The impossible. What is impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Those qualities, the opposite of those qualities that are necessary for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we've got 13 necessary attributes. So we're going to now run through, this is your first test. We're going to run through all 13 of those attributes, one after the other, and whoever's going to answer will also give the opposite of it. So you know what's wajib and what's necessary and what's impossible. Like, what's the first word for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Existence. What's the opposite? Non-existent. Hold on, I'm talking to it. No. Okay, we can give you a second one then. Non-existent. Now, what's wajib, what's necessary is that he exists. The opposite is impossible, non-existent. Right. Second attribute now, since you jumped in. It's not an open book exam either. Go on then.
Pre-eternal.
Pre-eternal. Now, what's the opposite of that? Are you supposed to eternal?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. So it's eternal. Just drop the pre off. Sarge at the back. What's the opposite of pre-eternal?
Eternal. Non-eternal.
No, come on, somebody. What's the opposite of pre-eternal? What did pre-eternal negate?
Beginning.
Beginning. So pre-eternal is wajib. Having a beginning is opposite for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have a beginning point. The third is a bit. Go on, actually, go on, since you're post what? Post eternal. What's that mean? Okay, so what's the opposite? What's impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's impossible that it has no end. That's a double negative, that is. It's impossible that it has an end. Possible that it has an end point. What's the next one? What's the next wajib lillahi ta'ala? Let's say. So we're going to turn to this side now. Somebody on this side. Go on. Dissimilarity, yeah? What's the opposite? That's an easy one. Just take the diss off. Okay. Yeah, similarity. Similarity to what? Hold on, what's talking here now? What? It's a creation. It's impossible that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can have any resemblance or similarity. Clear. Next person who's going to volunteer? Before they go volunteer, go on. Oneness. What's the two things that negates? Partners, right? That's the obvious one. What's the other one? as what? No. I mean, that's true, that's impossible, but that's not. That's what it's negating. It's not what it's negating. What else does it negate? Right? Multipleness, what's that mean? What's that mean? Yeah, made up of parts. Like you said, so there's two aspects to that. One is that you've got multiplicity in that you've got replicas of the entity, but also within the entity itself, made up of component parts. One means that he's one whole entity, whatever that entity is. So it's impossible Allah subhanahu can have parts, such as a human being has a hand, has a face, has an eye, made up of parts. Allah subhanahu is not made up of parts.